Okay, 1952 Chevy pickup, independent front suspension, engine installed. Today we're going to show you how to get that engine and tranny into here, nice and neat like. And we're going to finish off our brake booster first, because we have to have that in there in order to be able to tell where we're going to put our transmission crossmember. With everything disassembled, what we're going to do now is go ahead and clean up all of this and a few of our smaller parts right here. After everything's all cleaned up and ready to go back together, I'll show you how simple this installs. You'll notice the two bolt holes right here on the bracket, and you'll notice the two bolt holes that came with the original master cylinder. Taking the bolts that have the fine threads on them, we're going to take those and bolt those right there. And once we've got it bolted in here, now we can see exactly where we need to drill the hole here and right here. That'll be a 3/8 bit, and you'll use your coarse threads bolts on this. Okay, so next we're going to go ahead and install the booster, and you want to make sure that our vacuum line is pointed up. Before we put our bolt on here, we're going to install our lower support. Before we tighten this, we're going to install our final coarse thread bolt. And on most trucks there's already a hole right here. If not, just go ahead and drill one. You still want to have this a little bit loose so you can maneuver it straight over the hole. So now we'll go ahead and install our master cylinder. Since right now we're just mocking up our engine and tranny, we're just taking clearances, we're not going to bleed the master cylinder just yet. After we're sure everything's where we want it, then we'll go ahead and bleed them after we get all of our brake lines set up. Okay, so we're getting ready to put this thing back in. Go out and get some new motor mounts. Even if they look good, a lot of times they're broken, cracked, you don't see them, they're twisted and things like that. In order to get everything nice and straight, start off with new stuff. Okay, so we've got our engine basically set where we want. We've got enough room here for our distributor. We've got clearance down here on our transmission. And then what we'll do is we'll put our exhaust manifolds on, and our rack and pinion, our radiator cross member, and double check all our clearances for that stuff too. This right here is a turnbuckle key. You can typically pick them up at Home Depot and such for about $5 or so. What we do is we bolt it right to the engine, and then we just weld a tab onto the frame and bolt it to there. And what this will do is it'll let me dial it up or down on both sides so that I can get the engine exactly where we want. I've got my level right here, dead center. We've got 7 3/4 inches from side to side. You know, a lot of people like to use this style of exhaust manifold. But the only problem is that there's not a lot of room for it on this one. Plus, all of this converges right where I want most of my steering to go. What I like to use on these is this exhaust manifold right here. These are off of typically about a 69 Camaro. And the nice thing about them is right here, you can see that it's got a little bit of a notch when it goes down. And typically your steering column bar will go about right there. So these will offer you a lot of clearance. They'll dump down at the back end so you don't have all the exhaust piping going right here. A lot better for clearance. I know a lot of people like their exhaust. A lot of people like headers, but typically they leak and they generally have, get in your way just like this. So this is a nice easy fix. You can use a few other styles too, the 67 to 72 the 67 to 72 Chevy truck. The exhaust manifolds are also somewhat similar to this, but none of them will give you the clearance that the 69 Camaro will. It's also a good idea that when you put these on, you actually bolt up all of the bolts. Sometimes these will be slightly off and you'll have to enlarge the holes or miscellaneous things to get everybody to fit. Okay, well here we are at the end of the day. We got our brake booster set up. Started placing our engine and transmission where we want it. So tomorrow we'll finish that baby up.